This is gonna be my first video, my first series of videos, and it's just my story. And my story is this. I found such a wonderful, wonderful girl, and I lost her. Through my own actions, and through my own inactions, we drifted apart, and I pushed her away. And this overwhelming sense of pain, this sense of loss, of hurt, of love gained and lost, really applies to a lot of us because some of us, a lot of us, have gone through these kinds of things, are going through these kinds of things, and may yet still go through these kinds of things. And I've discovered something worth sharing. And that is where my story begins, because my story starts at the ego. And the ego, there are so many ways to understand it, so many different subjects and authors talking about it. And I encourage some of you, a lot of you, to go and find the material yourself. But what I mean by the ego is this. I was in a place of fun and games, literally. I would spend a lot of my time getting high and playing video games. And even though there were times when I was very joyful, where I would express my love in wondrous ways, I would always seem to revert back. And I see now that these became my vices. They became my ego's way to take over and to control my life. And so that's what I ask some of you. Look at your own lives. What kind of vices do you have? What do you retreat back to at the end of the day, in the middle of your day? And when you really think about it, are they serving you? Because I discovered that they were not serving me. But I got lost in them daily, over and over, and I became so self-deceived. And even when life threw hurdles, when I saw the bumps in my road, from being robbed, to almost failing out of college, to losing the woman I loved, I became so self-absorbed in what felt good, and I became so self-deceived. And I see now that I'm not the only one, nor will I be the last, but I do choose to be one of the ones that will talk about it. And that is my message. That is one of my messages, to talk about it. Talk about your life story with a friend, a family member, even a lover. Because when two people start to talk, when two people come together, that's when the real growth happens. For when two people speak, that's when the ego starts to rise to the surface. And there are indicators that will help you feel the ego come up. From, do you feel sad after you say something? Do you feel like you've said the wrong thing? Do you want to curl up after you've said something and just kind of hide away? Do you get angry at yourself for saying the wrong thing? All of these are indicators of where you're not being authentic, of when your true self isn't shining through. And that, through this ego, through this experience, that is something I started to understand. What is the self? Because as I was coming from my ego, I started wondering, where is the real me? And by this I mean, what are my real desires? What are my true feelings and intentions behind speaking? I thought about this for a while, and in my experiences it became so confusing, because there were times when I felt like I needed her back, like I wanted to get her back. But the more I sat with myself and the more I experienced all these feelings, even when when it felt like the deepest parts of myself were just crying out, reaching out to get her back, I discovered an opposition. I discovered a change. Because soon I started to understand that I couldn't, and I wouldn't try to get her back. So even when I felt like I should and I was supposed to, there was a part of me that was fighting back. And this struggle, the struggle that I felt inside, that I still feel inside, is what illuminated both of my selves, what illuminated my ego, and what illuminated my soul. And that's what I've discovered. That's what this is about for me. This is what is worth sharing. That this inner struggle inside of myself illuminated my ego and illuminated my soul. And that's what I wish to bring forth. That's what I want to talk about. Hopefully, through my experience, I can create a path back to the soul for all of us, back to an authentic way of expression. Because there are times when many of us have felt authentic, have felt our souls, but for a lot of us it wasn't lasting, and it might not have been powerful enough. But now, don't get me wrong, I'm still an ego from time to time, and I'm not fully in my soul all the time. I'm not God's messenger, I'm not doing His work. All I'm simply doing is just speaking, telling my story, to hopefully inspire a lot of other people to tell their stories, and to start a global communication, a global discussion that will each allow us to kind of express our own ways to feel our soul. That way we can each help each other. That way we can each be there for each other. Because I have discovered that as you start to attune to your soul, it's like you're turning a light on inside yourself. It's like you become this light that now starts to illuminate all of your past mistakes, and all of your past worries, and all of your past regrets. And as these start to be illuminated, they cast a shadow, they become a shadow of yourself. And this shadow of yourself is equivalent to the ego, in my understanding so far. But as you start to align to your soul, as you start to cast a brighter light, your shadow will also get bigger, but at the same time, the shadow changes. It will become a different shadow as you start to move past a lot of your past regrets. And so that's what I choose. I choose to just talk about my life, to talk about my story, and in turn, to start sharing with a lot of you some of the techniques and meditation that I've discovered, that I've been developing over my life. And that's what a lot of my future videos are just going to be centered around. Meditations to help us align to our soul, to help us feel the shadow, to help us just become a global family. Because that is my deepest, truest desire, for all of us to start helping each other, for all of us to stop being disconnected from the other, and for a lot of us to heal the pain that we feel inside. So I truly wish to express my love to each and every one of you. I truly wish to be here for all of you, as I know so many of you have been here for me. I love you all, and I can't wait to continue on this journey. I can't wait to keep doing this, because it does make me so happy. Makes me very, very happy.